Welcome to the second game of the finals at the World Blitz Team Championship 2024. The first game between Carlsen and Arjun was won by the youngster. And now, the world number one begins with e4. He wants his revenge. It's the French defense. And Magnus goes for the knight c3 variation. The knight comes out to f6. He pushes his pawn. The knight goes back. And now, c5. Fixing the pawn structure there, connecting all the pawns. And now bringing the knight out. Arjun takes a small pause. I'm sure he's just trying to figure out which line he wants to play, because this is a well-known topical position. Bishop e7, a3 played here. And now the idea is to play b4 so that the tension can be released here. Arjun stops it with a5. But it does weaken the b5 square. How is Magnus going to continue? He starts gaining space on the king side. h4, h5, h6 could be an idea. Arjun gains space on the queen side. The knight jumps to f4, looking at h5. The g7 point is a bit soft there. Arjun goes with his queen to a5. Now the idea is to take here, so that this entire pawn structure is a bit ruined, because this pawn was pinned. You can't take it back. So Magnus takes his time here. He can go bishop d2. He can also play queen d2. The WR chess team for which Magnus is playing is super strong, and they also look very well poised to win this championship. But very important is for Magnus to win this game. Arjun putting pressure on b2 and d4. There's no good way to defend both the pawns apart from bishop dropping back to c1. Time-wise, Magnus has 2 minutes 18 seconds. Arjun has 2 minutes 40 seconds. And Magnus taking his time here, because he would be calculating something like bishop e3, queen takes b2. Is it worthwhile to give the b2 pawn up? And there are other possibilities as well, to go knight h5, trying to attack the g7 pawn. But then he could go g6. And all of these calculations is making him burn a lot of time here. Magnus down to 1 minute 43 seconds. He's almost a minute low as compared to Arjun. And after having lost the previous game, it seems like Magnus is losing his confidence here. Wow, look at Magnus there. He's not happy with his position. Arjun quickly repeats. A draw with the black pieces against Magnus would be a good result. And here queen d2 has been played. Now can Arjun take and exchange here? Yes, he takes. Magnus takes back. And now he can trade queens. There's also a possibility to play b6, bishop a6 ideas. He goes knight b6. I like this move because of the a4 pawn, these two pawns are kind of cramped, and so knight comes to c4. It's a great outpost for the knight there. Look at Magnus. He needs to create his own play, because look at Arjun's pieces. They are all crowding on the queen side. Knight h5, there you go. A great player never really submits to just passive defense. They always finds ways to create some play in the position. Now g7 is under pressure. If you play g6, I'm going to jump in with a check, and all your dark squares become weak. So that's the reason why Arjun takes the right decision. He defends the pawn with his king f8. And Magnus brings his rook up. This is again very, very creative play. He wants to go to g3 to force g6 and then make use of the dark square weaknesses. So with 1 minute more on the clock, Arjun has to figure things out. Magnus's position now looking interesting. You can see the bishops haven't developed. The rook is still on a1. So it's a very weird position. We are on move number 16, and none of the rooks are actually playing apart from this one, which has come to h3. And I think Arjun may have to play g6 at some point, but could start with h6, because g6 I can take the queen and then jump with the bishop for a check. So h6, very nice move. I like this. Rook g3, and now he can go g6 so that the h6 square is no longer weak. Knight f6. Do you want to take this? But as we said, the dark squares get very weak after that, and I guess this is a very unwelcomed knight here. So how about we trade it with knight d7? That seems like a good plan. Yes, knight d7 on the board. Good move there by Arjun Erigaisi. Magnus now down to 45 seconds. He keeps his knight on the board. Arjun pushes it back. The knight comes back to e3. And he brings his knight back to b6. Now where's the new weakness? The g7 pawn is kind of safe on g6. Maybe f7 is the new weakness. Magnus goes knight c2. Plays his bishop to d7. Queen trade. Knight takes. The b3 square is weak. But the bishop comes in and trades this. Wow. Magnus understands what are the important pieces to be traded and kept. Rook c1. Rook c8 played. I like black's position. Look at all of his pieces. So beautifully coordinating. But also the f7 point is weak. And Magnus can somehow magically attack it. He long castles. He long castles in the position, and meanwhile Nepo wins. Magnus acknowledges Nepo's victory there. That is actually a big boost to the team of WR. Takes on g5, knight takes, king e7, and he moves his king to the side. You can feel a spring in Magnus's step after Nepo's win. Rook c7, he brings his rook, attacks the f7 pawn. Magically everything's coming together now. Rook f8. What next now? Do you want to go at some point try to engineer this g4 break? Try to open up things on the king side. Maybe bishop e2, rook f4, g4. That could be an idea. He goes bishop e2. Black's pieces are beautiful, but he needs to create his own play. He goes to c4. And this is a good knight. Takes, must take with the rook or the knight. No, he makes a mistake. Pawn takes, because now d5 move is going to come in with great force. Knight b4 with the idea of d5. Arjun under some pressure. He's actually played this d takes c4 as a very, not a great move. And now don't take this, because he might take back with the pawn and d5 won't be possible. Magnus goes rook f6. Can't take here. f3 would trap the bishop. So he goes rook d7. King comes up. Bishop. Now plonk the bishop here so that no d5 comes in. Yes. Bishop d5. And Magnus brings his king further up. Knight c6 is important. b5 is not a good move, because now Magnus is slowly and steadily going to grind this down. g4 coming up next. Knight to b7. He pushes. And all of white's pieces look so good now. Rook h6, attacking the h-pawn. He brings his king back. Knight h7, threatening a check here. Rook is attacked. And just like that, Magnus Carlsen has managed to outwit Arjun Erigaisi. But can he finish this game? Arjun brings his bishop back. Time to take the exchange. Knight takes f8, king takes. A check comes in. He brings his king to g7 and the rook moves to e8. You can see when the stakes are high, Magnus simply zones in. He's a champion. He just rises to the occasion. Bishop comes back. Check here. Maybe a couple of checks to repeat and then gain time. Yes, rook f1. He plays it back there. Arjun comes back and now offering a trade of rooks. There's no way for the rook to avoid the trade, and takes. Bishop attacked. Bishop g4. The king starts moving in. And that, dear friends, is going to be the end. He wants to take this, but he is waiting now. First, rook f2 goes in, just avoids all counterplay, trades, and now b5 is hanging. Arjun resigns. Magnus Carlsen wins. He gets a pat on the back from Jan Nepomniachtchi, and this is a big win that helped WR Chess become the world champions.